Well, that was a movie.
Hello, welcome back to Simon's Rants. I'm Simon, this is Justin, and today we're giving our first thoughts on Gladiator 2, or as they put it in the movie Gladiator, Two Eyes,
Of course.
Which is, of course, directed by Ridley Scott. Of course, also Russell Crowe, other than a couple of flashbacks, is not back because he's dead. So instead, we've got Paul Mescal, we've got Pedro Pascal, we've got Denzel Washington, and I do want to point out, because I really enjoyed their performances, they've got like these twin emperors played by Joseph Quinn and Fred Hetchinger. And especially Fred Hetchinger, I loved his character. He was the shorter one.
Okay.
The two twin emperors were just phenomenal. They were weird and hilarious. Joseph Quinn, I've definitely seen in something before. Oh, he was the white guy in A Quiet Place Day One. Did not recognize him, so good actor, because I did not recognize him. The other one, the weirder one, was in 8th grade, the pale blue eyes. I've seen him in stuff, don't remember him at all. But anyway, we are a bit short on time. We're going back in like half an hour. So we're going to try and keep it quick. So I want to keep the spoiler section even quicker because the spoilers is what we care about. So, spoiler free. Not great. I think this movie would have been okay if it wasn't a sequel to Gladiator.
That's always the problem. Nothing needs there's a very few things that truly need a sequel after so long.
This long. It just, a lot of it was a retread, but done worse. And I just rewatched Gladiator today, and there's a couple different things that, like, I was noticing. One was the cinematography was fantastic. The second was how refreshing it is to have so many practical effects. Granted, some things are dated. There's some CGI in the first one that's dated, but this one, you swap that all for awful CGI. There's so much terrible CGI in this movie. Very little practical effects, and even the practical effects they do have, like there's a couple of decapitated heads, they don't look good. And
They look funny.
and the couple of flaws with the first one, which I pointed out to myself, was that the fighting is from an era, it was 2000. Action scenes weren't really good in that era. And I'm like, nowadays, action scenes, when they're done right, are so much better than they used to be. So I was like, That could be something going into this that could be much better. They were not. They were not better. I don't dislike any of the cast, really, but like Russell Crowe and Joaquin Phoenix are just hard to beat. They are. So much charisma there. The only guy that can really match them in this movie is Denzel.
It's Denzel.
But like then Paul Mescal, he's doing like a pseudo impression of Russell Crowe at times, and it just doesn't make sense that he would be, because he met him once in his life. Why are you acting and talking like the man? Doesn't make any sense.
Hey man, there's a lot of stories out there about the man. He listens really well and imitates.
He watched videos and he copied them, and you got to get his mannerisms down. It just didn't make sense. There was one line in particular where they hand him a wooden sword, and he ends up killing a guy with a wooden sword, and he's like, wooden tip or steel, still a point. And it's just like one terrible line. Two, what the hell was that accent you just did? I really don't know where that came from. Like, at times he reminded me of Russell Crowe. At times I pointed out to you, it's like he reminded me of James McAvoy for some reason.
Yeah.
He was kind of all over the place. Don't dislike him as an actor. This was my first time finally seeing him in a movie. I thought he was fine, but I just think the directing they gave him was poor. I don't know. I
feel like I enjoyed it a little more than you, but again, was anyone really asking for Gladiator 2? Or
no.
Gladiator, whatever we called it.
Gladiator.
Yeah. Yes. I'll admit, I did not expect better action. No, better set pieces, I guess.
I had a vague hope.
I just kind of figured out we're going to get classic two people who don't really fight sword fighting here.
Yeah, with shaky cam, a ridiculous amount of slow-mo at random times. Like the movie starts with Paul Mescal's character is like a farmer at the beginning. And you've got slow-mo of him dropping grain and then making a face. And at first I was like, why did he make that face? Because he like shooed away a chicken and made a face. And I didn't realize it was in slow-mo yet. And then I was like, oh, that's why he made that face. Why is this in slow-mo? But what I wanted to check, and I just checked, was it is the same cinematographer, which is crazy to me because the first movie had such great cinematography. And this movie had nothing remotely memorable about the cinematography at all.
You got all the ideas out in the first one.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing. Like, the art of camera work has died, essentially, and I don't know why or how that's happened. But anyway, no, like I said, I think the movie on its own would have been fine. It's a fine movie,
yeah,
but it's a sequel to a great movie that kind of spits in the face of the first one a couple of times. And it's like, one, it retcons stuff from the first one. The plot doesn't line up remotely. And two, it's got a lot of member berries where it's just like, hey, this line, that line.
Well, of course, that's the beauty of a sequel over a decade later.
Legacy sequel, yeah.
Yeah. We can throw in so many callbacks, maybe a cameo here and there. You remember these things? Come on. This is why you're here.
When Lucilla got revealed and the guy behind us went, I'm like, you knew she was gonna be in it. What do you mean? Like, what are you fucking talking about?
Oh,
that's stupid. But yeah, so I don't know. I think if it was a standalone movie, I would give it a 6. But because it's related to Gladiator and kind of deteriorates that whole franchise just by existing, I'm going to give it a 5.
I'm all right with that, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to get into spoilers now for as long as we can. And then we're going to go back inside. But that's what we had to think. Let us know what you guys thought, though. If you've seen it, let us know in the comments below what you thought. Also, don't forget to like, share, and if you're new here, subscribe. Bye. So, spoilers. Yeah, so I don't know how much of a spoiler it is, because I really feel like during the marketing of the movie, they said that Paul Mescal, his character, Lucius, who is the kid in the first one, who definitively has a dad that is dead,
that's what we thought,
is the son of Maximus Decimus Meridius. And they say that 20 times in this movie, in case you missed it. They just keep repeating it. And I remember hearing this going like, oh, it's about his son. And I mentioned that to a friend, and they're like, his son's dead. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. And then I looked it up, and it's like, it's Lucius. That's the kid. He's not related to Maximus. So I rewatched the movie, one, to kind of remember the movie, but two, to see if there was any hint that they were related. And there isn't. Multiple times. The lady has multiple instances where she could have dropped this bomb on good old Maxie, and she doesn't, because multiple times they say that there was an affair that they had a fling before either one of them got married. They both ended up having kids that are the same age, so it's like a connection, a rekindled romance because both of their partners are dead. And now he's like, I'm gonna sacrifice my life for this cause, and she's like, don't do it, I love you. And then they even talk about their kids, and she's like, my kid is this, he's like, well, my kid is this, and he's like, your kid, my kid, and they're very distinct that they each have one kid and don't have the other kid. It's like, no, he's not the dad. Go on, Maury, he's not the dad.
Obviously, you missed the subtext in the conversation there.
I was looking for it with a magnifying glass. It wasn't there.
It was the look that they gave each other. All right? It was like, you realize I'm talking about our kids, right? Yes, our kids.
Man.
Except I guess his son wasn't her son, so I guess just one of our kids.
Yeah.
My kid and our kid.
Right, sure. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention, by the way, this is not related to the kids or anything, but speaking of dumb 20-plus year later sequelitis shit, the wife in the new one, Paul Mescal's wife, is randomly a warrior lady for no discernible reason because she's still just there to die, just like the other wife.
That was hilarious. Because I was like, I wonder if people are going to say anything about her being like a warrior woman, just like in this random society here that I know nothing about. I'm like, whatever. They're about to be attacked by the Romans. Whatever.
You knew she's going to die for motivation,
like
but she died a warrior's death instead, so sure, that's better, I guess. What?
I thought there could be like I don't remember the trailer because I don't even know if I ever really paid attention to the trailer because it was
Sure.
Gladiator 2. Like I was obviously going to see Gladiator 2.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't remember if they showed her dying there for motivation. But like, I thought there could be, hey, maybe it's like he has to like rescue her in addition to his journey. Maybe he has to do something else. It's just nope. We have them putting armor on each other. And then
Exchanging rings.
Yep, and then she gets shot.
Also, he's eating something the entire scene, which was so awkward.
Oh, yeah.
Did you notice? I was like, why is he just chewing? And then it cuts to Pedro Pascal's introduction, and he's also chewing on something. I'm like, why is everybody eating something right now?
Hunger connects the world, you know. But yeah, then she's just shot perfectly through the center of the chest.
Yeah, that whole scene was so
what the
silly.
Heck is that? Like woman in a fridge? What is it?
What?
There's like a
woman in the fridge?
Because there's like a trope against women where like a woman's killed off for like her husband or boyfriend or a man close to her's developments, and it like the name of that trope I think stems from like I think the original Green Lantern, not the original, maybe the second Hal Jordan, I think. Or maybe it was the original Green Lantern. It was one of the Green Lanterns, I think. One of their wives got killed, and like he discovered her by opening up the fridge, and like her dead body was in the fridge.
Oh,
yeah.
That sounds dark. Yeah, I never heard that, but sure. Yeah, it's funny because they do a pseudo. She's a character, like a real character with personality and stuff by making her a warrior, but she's still literally just there to die. And the scene preceding it is hilarious too, because like, so she's like an elven maiden or whatever up on top shooting everybody while everybody else is down fighting, and then one of Pedro's buddies gets shot, so he turns, finds her, tells his entire army to then shoot her.
It's just all archers. I thought he was gonna say like, oh, they're
Get
above
the archers,
us.
yeah.
Start shooting them. It was just
it's like,
kill her.
And then they're like,
but only one gets her.
amazing. They did not have nearly as good aim as the guys in the arena later that all shot Pedro.
Yeah, that was.
Because I expected at least one arrow to miss, hit the dirt next to him. No, every arrow hit him
How many
square.
directions can we get him from?
And surprisingly, none hit him in the shoulder. It was just all chest or back.
Yeah.
Nothing in the head, nothing in the dirt. Just perfect aim by all of them. They must have had scopes. But yeah, no, that whole opening scene was laughably bad, from the terrible CGI to the random warrior woman to the get her moment. And then Pedro Pascal's hero moment to show he's the boss and in charge. He's just like, oh, they can't drop the drawbridge without me. I have to do everything myself. Bop, bop, bop. Cut, haha.
It was so hilarious that they were like, the drawbridge won't open, and no, all they're doing is just trying to slam it. No one. I thought he was gonna have to get up there and like jump off it onto the thing, like lead the men in. Nope. But no, he just cuts the rope. It's like, oh. Did we think we were going to get this back up once we conquered the city? Do we care?
Yeah, no, it was just laughably bad. And granted, the movie got better from there. I think the movie probably got better throughout the duration of the runtime. It got better continuously throughout. Yeah. But it never got to a point where it was like a great movie or anything. It was just okay by the end.
The larger battles probably didn't help it as much as they wanted it to. It's like you expect that's what you're really there for, not the rest of the movie, truly, but they were kind of funny. Yeah. This is random, like, North African society, I guess.
Namibia, right?
Namibia.
Well, it said Namibia, I thought, but then they kept saying Numibia.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is Numibia?
I don't know if I was just hearing it wrong or maybe.
But I thought it said Namibia. A lot of the fighting just felt kind of silly or pointless. Like after Pedro Pascal tries to lead a coup, gets caught, so they put him in, the Colosseum and have him fight 5 guards, and he kills them all in 10 seconds, and now he's gonna fight the main character. And it's like, why did we have him fight the 5 guards? What was the point of that?
We gotta soften him up a little first,
Now he's tired. Granted, Paul Mescal had to run up 10 flights of stairs to get there, so he was probably tired too, but that seemed a little redundant.
We like him nice and tired. Maybe we toss a monkey at him, maybe a small tiger, maybe a bigger tiger after that, all right? Yeah. But hilarious, the way Pedro's entire force gets taken out. Because they just walk straight into an ambush, which, all right, into the ambush, but immediately every single person, perfect shots, drops everybody around Pedro.
They have a very good archery team in this. But wait, I'm curious. There were several historical fallacies I questioned, but one of them was, how big is Rome's army? Because they're like, there's an army coming to attack them at one point, and they're like, how many is it? And they're like, oh, only 5,000. They're like, oh, okay. How many do we have? 6,000. I'm like, where's the rest of it? That's it? Where's Rome's great army? I mean, granted, it could be spread out across the globe, but like, is that all that we have right now? What's going on?
Listen, man, we're on the plot for Persia, and we're on the plot for that other territory that I had in my head a second ago, but whatever it was.
And also, a guy reading a newspaper at one point, which was jarring, to say the least. Because everybody else, you know, you've got stuff carved into stuff. They had, like, these tablets that they had, like, little booklets out of tablets. It's like, oh, that's cool. I wonder if that actually existed. And then there's this guy reading a newspaper, and you're like, oh, hold on. What? When and where did you get that?
See, the historians in the chat, in the comments, are going to point out, you guys don't know your history.
I do have a history buff friend, too, who pointed out, based on the trailer, he's like, one, I'm happy that they filled the Colosseum with water, because that's something that they actually did. That's cool.
Yeah, I have heard that quite a bit.
Two, but sharks? How are they getting sharks there, and do they even know what sharks are? Has any Caesar ever actually seen a shark before? I'm curious.
I don't know if any Caesar's seen a shark. I like to think the entire society might know what sharks are, but yeah, sharks are, depending on the species, a little hard to get into captivity and transport.
Yeah. Going back to the fights, though, it was very amusing that it was very turn-based kind of stuff. You mentioned the monkeys. You kill one monkey, all the monkeys resign at that point, apparently. They just cease to be.
I thought we were going to, I thought he was going to, stand up, and he was going to be, the only person that's Denzel Washington's character wanted. Right. And we were going to find out, all the other monkeys had been killed in the background, just quietly through camera work or whatever. And no, it's just, 4 guys stand up, and there's just a bunch of monkeys that are still there, kind of roaming around, but I guess we're supposed to think the guards are corralling them or some shit.
I have no idea.
It was kind of odd.
I want him. He killed a monkey.
Yeah, and then everybody
else also survived too, except for one guy. And also, he bit the monkey, which was hilarious.
Oh, yeah, that was funny.
So unnecessary and so goofy. He's just like, yeah, sure, I'll bite a monkey.
Because I remember just thinking, wow, this monkey's not really fighting. He's not really trying a whole lot here. It's just like, oh, he's got my arm. Let me just scream a bit. And then he just bites it. It's like, oh,
yeah, there's a lot of.
Which one's the monkey?
There was a lot of assumptions that the choreographers for these fights made based on I think UFC or something, because you got someone in a headlock and they're like, oh, let me try to punch my way or grapple my way out. And it's like, no, one, if it's a monkey and you've got a headlock, it's going to rip your hand off.
Yeah.
And 2, if you've got a guy in a headlock who, I don't know, maybe has a sword, he's not going to drop the sword and try to punch you in the head. He's going to stab you in the head. And that happened. I was like, how the hell do you think that makes any sense at all?
Listen, he panicked. It was he wishes he could take it back.
It's like, you don't, when you got a guy with swords, you do not put them in headlock. That doesn't help you. You keep them away from you.
Listen, let's not think about he could have stabbed him this way, could have stabbed him this way.
Any which way. But so throughout the thing, and this may have been in the first one too, I think, it's they're constantly, because so Maximus and then also Lucius both served in military, so when they're put in with other gladiators, they try to see who else was and try and then take control and see, all right, we're going to do this formation, we're going to do that, or whatever. So they're going up against this undefeated gladiator guy who rides a rhino, and he goes, all right, everybody, we're going to do this, and one guy goes, why? But the thing he tells him is dodge the rhino, and the guy's like, I don't wanna, cowards, pussies, you ain't gonna dodge the rhino? Not me. I'm gonna let it hit me. And so he just fucking dies. And you're like, what the fuck?
Listen. That was his first time around a rhino. It seemed, they might seem kind of weak up close.
That bad.
Listen, when the rhino head was on the table and they're just shaving off some rhino horn, I don't know, maybe I could have taken a rhino. Until he starts charging. Yeah, that was dumb.
And then, so eventually he comes up with a strategy of throwing dirt in the air. So then the rhino runs into the wall, and we never actually see the rhino damaged. We just hear it groaning for the next 10 minutes. So I guess it like crippled it or something, because the guy gets off of it and then fights Lucius man on man. But also, one, well, I don't know why the dirt was necessary. Two, he still got hit by the rhino, so it wasn't a great strategy. But then anyway, so they're fighting, and the guy is beating up Lucius. There was 4 other gladiators standing around watching this fight happen. It's 5 versus 1 at this point. Kill the guy. Why are you just like, oh, I wonder who will win. Oh, let's see how this goes. Like, fucking help.
Well, as we've seen, you know, when we have a group battle with a leader,
Turn-based.
you know, the leaders are the only people allowed to fight it out, right? Yeah. If they're not going to fight to the death, you know, why should we die for them?
Yeah.
Let them settle it.
Yeah, it was so silly. This movie was really, really silly, with inconsistent accents, very interesting acting choices in general. Some of it, like I said, some of it was really good. I liked the Twin Emperors.
They were great.
Liked them. Denzel was Denzel. I mean, he didn't really scream Rome at all, but he was fun.
And now that I heard that he kissed a man in this movie, I was obsessed with finding out which
one it was.
There were at least 7 or 8 candidates in this movie.
He flirted with a few, and then randomly just drops in there like, I like men. At one point, he's like, get me on the right day. Men are all right. And you're like, why'd you say that?
As Roman society.
And he says it right after looking at a chick's butt, too. Like, he's like behind the chick like this, and then she walks away and he goes like, I like men. And you're like, what is this scene? What is going on?
I tell you. 7 or 8 candidates for the kiss, all right? Maybe more, maybe all of them.
Yeah. I just want to know how the debts got to 10,000, because it was 2 and then they doubled it, so 4, and then they don't see what happened, so you presume it got to 8, and then he says 10, and like, how did we get to 10?
Yeah, like, the only thing I can think of is, from some reason, they went from double to quadruple or nothing.
Didn't make any sense. This is a weird random number, but you know, it happened off screen, so it's not a plot hole. Too. Yeah, it's silly, it's dumb, it doesn't look good.
We didn't even talk about the monkey.
Yeah, the monkey's funny. The
first consul.
Yeah, the first consul under Emperor
Syphilis.
Supposedly, never confirmed. It's never confirmed it was syphilis.
The disease that has affected his penis has reached his brain.
Yes. Yep. But that could have also been libel. You don't know. He may have just been stupid, because that's the impression I got.
That's what I got before that, yeah. And I was like, oh, syphilis? Maybe that is how it goes.
I thought he was just inbred. I thought they were both inbred, to be honest. I thought just one was slightly more. I don't know how that happens with twins, but you never know.
Well, you see, there's you gotta think of it. There's like 100% inbred scale, all right? And then we gotta balance that between 2 kids. You know, one gets like 70% inbred, the other's like 30%.
I love the part where he was like, he's always trying to lie to me or betray me. He tried to suffocate me with my umbilical cord in the womb.
That was
and he's
so
like,
crazy.
You remember that, huh? He's like, I couldn't forget. All right.
I swear, I thought I heard it wrong for a second, but I'm like, I know I heard umbilical cord, so like, what else could this have been?
And Denzel's just like, all right, sure, we'll go with that. Yeah. And that's the thing is, like, that's when the movie got interesting, was when Denzel started, you know, puppeteering everything. But it's the last half hour.
Yeah, that was.
I was like, why did we wait so long? Like, because, like, the movie, we're 2 hours in, and I'm like, shouldn't we be wrapping out right now? And then the new plot starts. It's actually interesting. I'm like, we could have been doing this the whole time.
Honestly, the problem with it all, and as much as I like the guy, Pedro Pascal's character.
Yeah, pointless.
It just takes away from the more interesting plot.
Yeah, right? he was not necessary. Even having the connection between the main character and Maximus was pointless.
Yeah.
And that's the part that pisses me off the most, because it like definitively should not exist, because it was not part of the original, and just forcing that in felt so dumb.
Well, listen, we gotta have a reason for a sequel somehow.
Yeah.
Okay, now he's his son.
Yeah.
You know.
It's just a bummer, because like everything great about the first one had so many great things. Like I said, the cinematography, the score. I was so confused, because it wasn't even Hans Zimmer did the score on this one. I need to double check that. But yeah, Harry Gregson Williams, who was like one of Hans Zimmer's like lackeys, Hans Zimmer did the score for the first one, right? Hans Zimmer. Yeah. So he just was like, nah, Give it to that dude. I don't care. And it's like, it shows, like, man, everything great. Like I said, the cinematography, great. The music, great. The story, honestly, great. Everything about the first one that was great, they just cheapen or lessen in this one. And so, I mean, predictable, but unfortunate.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got to run, but that's what we had to think. Skip it, really, honestly. I mean, couple of fun moments, funny moments too, but not worth it. Like I said, 5 for me.
Yeah, I can go with that score too. It'll be on streaming soon enough.
Soonish.
Can't wait for 3.
Oh God, 40 years.